Now, 10 people killed in Ebonyi State, in church where they are worshiping, where they are exercising their religious liberty. They met their death not because of natural disaster, not because of accidents, but deliberately and consciously. Some group of Fulanis invaded the church premises, massacred indigenous people of Biafra, the Igbos, in their own home country, in their own ancestral home. And we say we have a governor, we have the security operatives, and the perpetrators of this heinous crime is still at large. Who do we hold responsible for the continual massacre, even at the cathedral, at the church, where people, innocent people, are worshiping, exercising their legitimate rights, protected under the Nigerian Constitution and law, that Nigeria citizens have the right to religious liberty. But are we seeing that in Nigeria today? What a gory sight. It is indeed a gory sight. Of course, the video is in the internet, in the social media. I watch it in X. It is quite horrible, very gory videos. You see worshippers, innocent worshippers, armless worshippers, soaked in their own blood in Igbo land. This is quite unfortunate. This informs the reasons why Mazi Simon Ekpa, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, was calling for self-determination, because the people are being threatened within the Nigerian state. And you don't have to blame them. If the Nigerian government and the Constitution recognizes freedom of worship, liberty of religious expressions and opinions, why should people disrespect the rights of the people? What exactly are they looking for? Nobody knows. As if everybody is not aware of what is happening. The continuous pogrom, genocide and massacre of the Eastern people is becoming quite alarming. And today, what will the governor say? Everybody is keeping mute. Why people are being slaughtered in their homes for no provocation, no justifiable reason. And these have informed the reasons and have justified the position of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who said, I am going to set up Eastern Security Network to checkmate the excesses of these people who are bent at wiping off and annihilating the entire Eastern region, just as Buhari promised that is going to wipe off the Igbos, which he described as a dot in a cycle. What we are seeing is the plans and programs Buhari have extended, which is ongoing. Who should be held responsible? Who shall come to the rescue of the Eastern people? Most sadly, the Prime Minister of Finland could be an accomplice to this, holding Simon Ekpa, who has committed himself in defending his own people for barely 3 months or more. Ever since then, you have seen the escalation of the invasions, the massacre, supervised, sponsored deliberately by some vested interests, and with the conspiracy of some willing troops from the eastern parts of the country. For crying loud, these are innocent people who has not offended anyone, who are just expressing their own religious liberty, the right to religious affiliations and expressions or opinion. Unfortunately, they were unalived. What happens to the immediate families who eventually saw their loved ones going to service or to church and could not return alive? And they will be told that the Fulanis rounded them up and killed. This has been happening, and yet the appropriate authorities, those who should be held responsible, are keeping silent. What marvels me is the level of conspiracy, of silence that is being sustained. This is no longer news. Every day, there has been a recurrent decimal. Now, unfortunately, the political leaders and the socio-cultural group known as Ohanese has remained mute. Perhaps they have been overwhelmed. Perhaps they have expressed some level of cowardice, where their own people are taken to the slaughter, killed, not just taken to the slaughter. This time around, they are being visited in their homes, in churches, in the places of worship that should be held with all respect, eventually have been desecrated. You see the blood, people lying down, worshippers, at their own pool of blood, lifeless. Who do we hold responsible? What is the essence of government if you cannot defend the people? And the people decided to form the security network to fight against their common enemies that have made the North. You saw what is happening in the North today. The Agatu, the Plateau, have been turned to killing field. And they are moving down south to make it unbearable for the indigenous people. And of course, the Southwest are not left out. We saw what happened, was it 2 years ago or more, the overkilling at the cathedral. It seems they have resumed this hostility, and they derive so much pleasure in seeing innocent indigenous people massacred, even in the places of worship. And the most unfortunate is that these perpetrators of this heinous crime could not be brought to book. And you said you have governors, you have security operatives. Though the security operatives may have been overwhelmed, if they will accept that. Otherwise, or perhaps there are some vested interests who controls and commands when they are to move or when they are to restrain. It is quite unfortunate. Life are being wasted. Is that the country anyone should desire? Finland government, I hope, is aware of the renewed attack and massacre on the indigenous people of Biafra. I put it to the Finland government and authority that they are responsible for the continued massacre of the Igbo in their homes, in the places of worship, desecrating the altar of God, desecrating the altar of worship, desecrating the fundamental rights of the people to liberty of expression of religion, opinion. That is quite sad. It is quite unfortunate. But let it be on record that the conspiracy that have taken several lives of defenseless Igbo will be avenged for by God Almighty, if not now, in the future, or later in the course of life. It is quite unfortunate. How could this level of conspiracy and injustice, just for political or economic gains, You watch innocent people being killed. Most sadly, children are not spared. That is the worst pogrom going on while the world is watching in silence, in conspiracy of silence, because of what they perhaps they feel they stand to gain. Well, only time will tell how far this can go. But don't think that the people will fold their hands while they watch their posterity, their entire existence being wiped off. The government on several occasions has failed to protect the people. No wonder the former general, Theophilus Danjuma, asked his own people, if the government's security operatives fail to protect you, take up arms in defense of yourself. Otherwise, the killers, the invaders, have one single mission: to annihilate, to kill, and to destroy, not even sparing the children. How long shall we continue to shed tears, to weep and wail, seeing defenseless, innocent children being massacred, hacked to death? It is quite unfortunate, very devastating. But the killers and their sponsors or conspirators are always happy when such sad news erupts or is being reported against the defenseless people of the Eastern region. Let's have your own take regarding this development. Why the continued massacre of the people as a way of subjugation, as a way of continual intimidation and pogrom sustained?